week after a massive earthquake rocked Myanmar, killing more than 3,100 people. Dow futures are down 1,243 points. Nasdaq futures off 603. More details, srnnews.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month. And that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Here is the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. In Hayes, Joseph Roth, age 31, has been charged with stealing nearly $20,000 from a Kansas Catholic school. Authorities claim he transferred $19,153 and some change from a Thomas More Prep Marion High School account to his own personal account. Roth was released on bond and is set to appear in court next Tuesday. This Sunday at the Wheatland High School, you can watch the play Larceny and Old Lace. The matinee will begin at 2 p.m. with tickets for $10. Agent Click is here to tell you more.
My name's Avon Teeter. I play the role of FBI Agent Click. Me and my partner, Agent Clack, are looking for Mordred Peabody, who has escaped prison and is robbing the bank.
That's Larceny and Old Lace at the Wheatland High School at 2 p.m. Sunday. For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 102.5.
Stationary cold front draped over the Three Corners area will lead to a foggy, drizzly morning with a dense fog advisory for the counties along highways 27. And temperatures are in the upper 30s to middle 40s. Southeast winds at 10 miles per hour will turn to the north as we move into the afternoon and increase later in the afternoon at 15 to 25 miles per hour with evening and overnight gusts up to 35. Temperatures will pretty much hold steady through the afternoon. Could see another round of some lighter rain showers, especially south of the line from Cheyenne Wells to Norton. Could pick up an additional few points of moisture to 20 to 40 points south of that line. Overnight lows will drop into the lower 20s, and tomorrow will be windy and chilly. Partly cloudy skies, north winds at 15 to 35 miles per hour. Temperatures in the middle to upper 40s to around 50. This is meteorologist Chris Schromick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Goodland's Rocket 102.5 is your home for Goodland High School athletics. From touchdowns and three-pointers to home runs, Ross Volkmer has you covered with all the action. Join him for live broadcast on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, your front row seat to the Cowboys and Cowgirls. Select games video streamed on the Goodland Voice. GHS athletics this season are made possible in part by
Shelter Insurance Agent Brentwood, Bateman Funeral Home, CFS Auctions, and L&W Andrest Insurance Agency.
Earl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas is hiring now, looking for technicians of all levels and a service advisor to join their team. Enjoy competitive wages, consistent work, plus 401k and health benefits, all in a great work environment. If you're ready for a rewarding career with a trusted dealership, apply today. Visit them in person on South Commerce Road in Goodland or apply on Facebook. Join the Earl Chevrolet GMC family today.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the Insurance Agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Your Shawnee County Hospital in St. Francis is improving health with access to quality care. Whether you're looking for primary care, wound care, physical therapy, cardiologist, or anything in between, Shawnee County Hospital can help. For info, visit their Facebook page or call 785-332-2104 or visit them at CheyenneCountyHospital.com. The Cheyenne County Hospital, located on 210 West Street in St. Francis.
Spring is here, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware has everything you need for the season. Get your lawn looking its best with Ultimate Fertilizer and power up with Ego blowers and mowers. Got a project? They got a surplus of lumber ready to go. Plus, fire up the fun with their selection of grills and griddles. Hoover's is also proud to sponsor the Pioneer 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon supporting Colby Community College cross country on April 26th and remind you to sign up and participate. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Hey kids, from preschool to 8th grade, this one is just for you. It's the Kiss Dance, a chance for kids to invite someone special, an adult in their life. Kiss. Kids invite someone special. City Limits Convention Center will still have all the prom decorations. It's a kids prom. It's going to be so much fun with photos, DJ, dance, snacks, and more. Just $20 per couple. April 6th, 1:30 to 4, with proceeds going to the 2026 Colby High School prom. More info at nwksradio.net. It's the Kiss Dance, April 6th.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Being a Nebraska football fan these past few years and watching this team week in and week out, I kind of compare it to like doing drugs. You know you shouldn't do it, but you can't stop. Kids, don't do drugs.
The region's only local sports talk.
Not this again.
Yes, this again.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Brumbaugh fakes the three, fires it from the corner. Yes!
To the pros.
They set up the screen. McLaughlin has it with Miners in front. McLaughlin's got a first down inside the 10, inside the 5. Touchdown, Denver.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Home up close at third. This is a ball hit pretty well towards deep left center. Marsh onto the track, looking up. It hits off the very top of the wall. Digging for three is Moniak. He is in there.
0-2 pitch. High fly, lifted deep to left field. Cam Devaney calls ball game. That one's gone, and the Storm Chasers win it.
Morant goes on Ware, step back, and it goes! John Morant wins it for Memphis.
Miles Shea right front court, dribbles left, down the lane, shovel pass underneath, and Tillis catches and scores. 3 seconds, last chance Chattanooga, half court heave from bottom. Good! From the NIT logo to give Chattanooga the lead in the NIT championship game at halftime.
And good Friday morning, everybody. Off and rolling here on this April the 4th. So glad you could join us. Goodland's Rocket 102.5, nwksradio.net. Also, of course, streaming on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, and YouTube. No matter which way you are joining us, thank you for doing so. My goodness, what a past, not even 24 hours. Man, can you believe this rain, this moisture? Unbelievable. A record-setting rain, at least according to the National Weather Service in Goodland. I think the previous record is like 1.19 inches. And, of course, this is, pretty much close to 1.5 inches for yesterday. So a record-setting rain that came to our area here this past within the past 24 hours. I was visiting with the Goodland Athletic Director, Marty Lehman, early yesterday, and he was like, I don't know if this rain's going to come or not. And I said, yeah, it's a funny thing to try to figure out. And it wasn't more than maybe an hour after that. It started raining, and then it was raining hard, and it rained very, very consistently. A beautiful rain that came down throughout the list through most of the listening region. I don't want to sit here and say everybody got the same rain that we did. I do know that a a listener there north of Ruleton, Steve had just a quarter of an inch. So he just kind of got caught in a bad spot, unfortunately. But a majority of our listeners were able to get over an inch of rain, which is fantastic, at least kind of here in the very northwest Kansas part. So really, really good rain shower, and a desperately needed one. That is for sure. And it's a weird, gloomy day out. I've called like a Northwest America, Seattle type day. Overcast. Could see a little bit more possibly precipitation coming through today. And then I think what's going to happen is the wind's going to pick up. It's going to be a cool day today and tomorrow before we begin to start to warm up on Sunday, and then get into more of our typical springtime temperatures coming up here on what would be on Monday and Tuesday. We'll get temperatures back up into the 70s. So that's a look at your weather forecast. So glad you're with us here on this Friday. If you want to be part of the show, would love to hear from you. Would love to get your thoughts on a topic coming up here at 785-899-2222, especially if you are a KU or a K-State fan. I would love to get your opinions on our topic here coming up in segment number 1. We will visit today with John Betts of Kansas Pregame Magazine. He's going to stop by the program, kind of put a bow on what he thought of the high school basketball season. And then we will look ahead to spring sports a little bit and a few other topics in our conversation coming up here with John Betts, our friend from Kansas Pregame Magazine. Segment 3, we'll look ahead to the weekend slate, Royals and Rockies. The men's and women's Final Four gets going tonight with the women's Final Four. The men will be played tomorrow, and so we will get some thoughts on all that. Real quickly in local sports before I dive into our first topic. Yesterday, not much is scheduled for today, honestly. I think pretty much everything for today has been postponed due to the coolness or the precipitation. So not much is scheduled for today or tomorrow. There might be some stuff resuming on Sunday. One of those things on Sunday will be Colby Trojan baseball, who was swept by Barton yesterday down in Great Bend, 7-0 and 19-0. Not only were they swept, they were shut out in that doubleheader against Barton. Once again, I said yesterday, that's a matchup of the top two teams in the Jayhawk West standings. It was going to be a real kind of a game to see how do you stack up against a team, this is from Colby's perspective, in Barton that's been really, really good the last few years. Well, the Trojans struggled as they got shut out 7-0 and 19-0. They had just 9 hits on the day and were struck out 16 times. So the Bats really struggled in yesterday's sweeping loss of Barton, or to Barton, I should say. Drops them to 10-4 in conference, 22-13 overall. And like I said, they will try and get those next 2 games in against Barton. Looks like for Sunday afternoon. A lot of things are not really going to happen outdoors over the next couple of days because of the cold temperatures, the wind, and of course the precipitation that we got. And that includes baseball today. Goodland hosting Garden City. It has been postponed. Colby Russell baseball has been postponed to April 14th. I saw. Thank you to Travis Betts for that information. So I do know. And Colby at Russell softball has been postponed as well, last I saw. So it's those have all been moved to a later date. And yeah, so there you go. Quick update on the local sports. And like I said, not much expected to happen this weekend due to the weather that was and what is going to be cool and windy coming up here. Not much drying, I don't think, is going to be happening on some of these outdoor facilities. All right, 785-899-2222. Want to hear from you here this morning on the FB Bank text line. Would love to get your thoughts and comments on this opening segment topic. And it kind of came about either 2 weeks ago or last week. It's kind of a little bit foggy, I guess, in my mind. And when I saw this, so this is what happens. This is what happens when I see a topic. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I kind of scroll right past it. And then after maybe a couple days, I'm like, you know what? We should talk about that on the show. But I'm always like, how can we make that how can we make that an interesting topic and make it more, to an extent, local? So how do we tie it in with the local schools and local colleges? And so there was a story that came out a couple weeks ago about Steph Curry becoming an assistant GM at Davidson. And then there was another story here that this was just a few days ago, that Trae Young, other NBA star, has taken an assistant general manager position with Oklahoma. And so you're starting to see, because once again, you know, It's about talent acquisition. It's always been about talent acquisition in athletics, and we're going to stick to the college model here, but it's always been about talent acquisition in college athletics. And so the question I have starting off today's show is, with this new deal, so Steph Curry and Trae Young are going to be helping their alma maters in being these assistant general manager roles where they're probably not going to make much money. Maybe what, $25,000 maybe is all they're probably going to get paid. Not very much, but they're just doing it out of the deal to try and help their programs succeed. Curry for Davidson and Young for Oklahoma. And they're not, once again, they're not going to be there coaching. They're not going to be there teaching. I don't think they're not going to be doing much of any of that stuff. They are general managers, which means they are going to be in charge or being in charge of bringing in and acquiring talent. These are pretty much just like guys. I just have a feeling like, let's just say Oklahoma is recruiting a really, really good point guard somewhere. They're recruiting this really, really good point guard, and they're like, yeah, we'd like to have our assistant general manager give you a call. You might know him. He's Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, the NBA. And of course, young kids will be like, I know Trae Young. That's so cool. Yeah. It's a recruiting tool. This is what I don't think assistant general manager is going to do any sort of financial things or anything like that to help. It is pretty much just a fancy name for recruiter is all it's going to be. A high named recruiter. That's what these positions are going to be for guys like Steph Curry and Trae Young. And so my question I want to present to the audience here on this gloomy Friday morning, and Team One chiming in, is it doesn't matter if it's, and there are programs that are talking about doing this at all sports, whether it's football or basketball, they're talking about doing it all. So if you are a KU fan or a K-State fan, in your opinion, who should be your assistant general manager if they were to do a role like this? If they were to bring back a former player, or maybe it's a former coach, I don't care, think outside the box. Who should come back and be the assistant general manager for KU and or Kansas State? I would love to get people's opinions on the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222. Would love to hear people's thoughts on that. If you are a K-State alum or a KU alum or just a fan, doesn't matter. Give me your thoughts on who you think would be able to do that. So first and foremost, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for KU basketball than it is for KU football. And it gets flipped around it's going to be easier for K-State football than it is for K-State basketball, I would think. And probably easier for Kansas State when you combine the two in comparison to KU and K-State, I would think. At least it's just off the top of my mind and my knowledge of the two programs. But KU basketball to me is very, very challenging. Like, I don't know who that player could be. The one that kind of popped up into my mind yesterday, because you need someone, I believe, in this position that's going to have cachet. They're going to know, they're going to have that deal where, like, if they're walking down the street, people know who they are. That's the type of cachet. These type of people that when kids are recruiting, they're going to know what they are. And so I think, like, for KU basketball, like, it was interesting because I saw yesterday that Joel Embiid's going in for surgery. I mean, he could be, I don't know if he's going to have much of a career left in the NBA, Joel Embiid, but he was really, really good when he was able to play, which was not much as of late. But why not have him be someone there for KU? Rob chiming in. Thank you, Rob, for listening. Christian Brown, of the Denver Nuggets. That would be a decent one as well. Like I said, I want to hear some names from fans who we think would be good, really good, because you got to have someone that when Coach Bill Self calls and says, hey, I want you to visit with our assistant general manager blank, that name's got to be like, oh man, yeah, that would be really, really cool. And KU has a long list of guys, And I don't think that these positions, I don't think that they have to. I don't think that they have to be anything like they have to have any knowledge of general managing or anything like that. They just kind of have to be a name. Keith chimes in, FB Bank text line, Joel Embiid is peanut brittle. Yes, I understand that he is not very, I get that. Which do you have to be in in great physical shape to just be a guy who can take calls and pitch it, yeah, I think you could do that. It might actually work for him. People are chiming in now. Unknown texter, who are the GMs at colleges now? They the ADs? Great question. Honestly, a lot of texters, a lot of GMs are getting hired as we speak here over the next. I think you're going to see a lot more coming in over the next year or so. I think the general managers early on were the head coaches and maybe someone like a right-hand man to the head coach. But now you're seeing programs go out and hire official people to be an official job of a GM, for example. I know, for example, at Nebraska football, Matt Rule hired former Patriots executive Pat Stewart to come and be the GM at Nebraska. That is an official. You can look that up. I know that for a fact. I haven't seen anything like that for Kansas State or KU to this point. We will see. Keith chimes in as well. Andrew Luck at Stanford. Yes, he's kind of already in that position. He is. And once again, that's a prime example of another great one. A former great at your school that had success and people would know to then lead your program. Those are the things you kind of need. Andrew Luck, I think, by the way, has a much deeper portfolio. I think he'd be a great, true general manager and in a lot of areas. He'd be really, really good. But I just want to kind of get people's thoughts. Sarah chimes in on Kansas State talking about Josh Cherry, the former Kansas State football. He was a kicker, wasn't he? I thought he was a kicker. I could be wrong, Sarah. I think he was a kicker, right? He's from McCook. I do remember that. McCook, Nebraska, Josh Cherry was. So, and Sarah says about Josh, he knows how to recruit big and small. That's so, I mean, to me, it's about getting a name. It's about getting a big time name that every recruit would know, and that's where it kind of becomes challenging. Like if you look at it from the Kansas State basketball perspective, and probably Michael Beasley would be that. Michael Bowles. I'm glad Michael chimed in on today. Michael, thank you so much. Let's see. He says Paul Pierce for KU basketball. I thought Paul Pierce too. Michael, any concern that he's a little bit older, a little bit of an older person? With the kids today, no Paul Pierce. I think they would. But what was it, 17? If you went and asked some 17 or 16-year-old, do they know who Paul Pierce is? I don't know. That's the hard part. Like it kind of has to be either someone who is transcendent, like a Steph Curry, like a Michael Jordan, someone that has lasted many decades, and then the test of time. That would be my thought. Who would be that person that can stand it? Paul Pierce. I do like that one a lot. Let's see. Text chiming in. Would that Nebraska hire be for football only? Yes. Pat Stewart, by the way, is only for Nebraska football. For Nebraska basketball, from what I've been told, head coach Fred Hoiberg is kind of the guy for the GM on that spot. Now, Fred did do that in the NBA. He wasn't great. He was a general manager. He was a head coach. He's kind of done all those things. So he's kind of worn all the hats. So he kind of is a little bit qualified for that, even though his record may not show that. But he is kind of qualified for that. So right now for Kansas, we have Paul Pierce, Christian Brown for KU basketball. I like those names. I don't have anything wrong with that. I didn't know if there'd be anybody else. Let's see here. Chiming in, Alan on the FE Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Jordy Nelson or Tyler Lockett. Yeah, those would be some good names for K-State football. No doubt about it. Gordon chiming in. Darren Sproles also on the mix with Jordy Nelson as well. Yeah, I really do think that those are some good names. Jordy Nelson would be a good one. I think he would be very, very good. Very, very good in that role. Once again, I feel like Jordy's maybe getting a little bit, I don't know. He was really good for the Packers, though. He was really good for a long time. So I'm not going to sit there and say that'd be a bad one. Yeah, that would be a good one for Kansas State football. Probably Jordy Nelson, Sarah chiming in with Bishop, with the quarterback Bishop. I can't think of his first name for crying out loud, but yeah, Bishop there. Yeah, Darren Sproles, I think would be a great one. Those are some really, really Sproles and those guys would be very, very good. I would totally get behind that. I would like those for sure. So for Kansas State football, Sproles, Jordy Nelson, I like those two very, very much. I think those would be very, very good. KU basketball, Paul Pierce is the big one. Christian Brown from Rob chiming in on the EpiBank text line with that thought as well. What about KU football? Like that's the hard one. KU football and K-State basketball. If you could pick one, what would it be? See, that's where it gets hard. The programs that don't have the cachet or the success as of late in recent memory, who do you hire for those roles in the assistant general manager spot? Like, I'm trying to think of anybody for KU football. Kerry Meyer. I don't know. Todd Reesing. That'd be about the best thing I could think of. Honestly, Devin Neal would be really, really good. Probably. I think he's going to be pretty good in the NFL. And I think he would be a good one. I think Devin Neal could be a really good signing. I guess Aqib Talib. That'd be another one there for KU football. They've had some good defensive backs. Thank you very much, Ben. Todd Reesing, Aqib Talib, Chris Harris Jr. Yes, very good as well. Trevor chiming in, FP Bank text line. Dean Wade of Kansas State. Yes, I like that one as well. That would be a good one for K-State basketball. Fantastic one there, Trevor. Good pull. I don't know why I didn't think of Dean. That would have been a good one there as well. I was thinking more guys like Michael Beasley or Jacob Pullen, because I know those guys stood out to me in the heyday of Kansas State. Those guys. Sarah Taj Manning standing out there, I believe, for Kansas State as well. So, yes, Kansas State basketball. Great. I'm so glad people have chimed in and give their thoughts, because these are some names that I would have not really thought of. I was trying to kind of come up with some last night. I was getting ready for the show, and it was a challenge. I don't know some of these names, because I look at it from, like, for example, from the Nebraska perspective. And so I'm always like, well, I don't know who. I mean, Nebraska football would have tons of options. You could go with Ndamukong Suh, who would have some great business background and of course had played at a very high level. There's some Will Compton would be an outside the box when he wasn't a great football. He was a good football player, really good. Wasn't great, but he has blown up his image through Barstool Sports and Bussin' with the Boys, and it'd be very popular for kids these days. Michael question, does that be a player? Could we get a Coach Williams back at the fall? Look, I said, it could be open. It could be complete. It could be a celebrity. It could be Rob Riggle. Rob Riggle could be for Kansas Athletics, could be the assistant GM. There's no qualifications. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. There is no qualifications for this position. No offense to Steph Curry and Trae Young. They're great basketball players, but to help their programs, they're pretty much just celebrity recruiters. That's what they are. That is what they are. They're celebrity recruiters. And so I don't care if it's an ex-coach. I don't care if it's a celebrity. I don't care if it's oh gosh, I can't think of his name. Anyway, Jason Sudeikis, there we go. KU's got a few of those great people. Whoever you else want to throw in there. KU's got some great ones there. It could be Eric Stonestreet for Kansas State. It doesn't matter who. It's completely open. Nebraska football, like I said, continuing that thought. I think it could be anybody. John Riggins, Raleigh chiming in. Thanks, Raleigh. John Riggins for KU. Nothing. No offense there, Raleigh. Might be a little bit on the older scale. No offense for the younger athlete today. Like, who's John Riggins? Yeah, that's the thing. You have to have a name that kids would know today, and that'd be one thing. Unless it is a transcendent person like Steph Curry, like Michael Jordan, it'd be hard because you would have to find someone that either stands with time or kind of cycle these guys in as the years go by. That would be kind of the interesting thing. So great conversation. Thank you so much to the FP Bank text line and texters everywhere chiming in. Really do appreciate your thoughts and comments on this. So once again, kind of recapping, for KU basketball, we've seen Christian Brown being thrown out there, Paul Pierce, possibly Coach Roy Williams from KU's perspective. KU football, Todd Reesing, Aqib Talib, Chris Harris Jr., also, of course, thrown out there with John Riggins. We just saw another name texter throwing out Frank Mason, Devontae Graham could be assistant GMs possibly for KU. Like I said, the list for KU basketball is long, so long. So many could get thrown in there as well. And then for K-State, basketball, really only one name was really thrown out there in Dean Wade, which was a good one there by Trevor. Great list there for Dean Wade. And then for K-State football, probably Darren Sproles, along with, of course, Jordy Nelson, two big names there. I also saw Michael Bishop. Thank you. That was the name that finally clicked in my head. Michael Bishop would be one of those. So, yeah, it's a great conversation, and thank you so much for chiming in on this topic today. So I appreciate the listeners being alert and being awake here on this rainy Friday and dreary Friday morning. But yeah, Like I said, it's an interesting topic, and I do believe you're going to see this going forward. I really do. I think you're going to see this so much more over the coming years. How can teams get a leg up on other teams in an era where it's legal to pay players? So and if you have the money, how can you convince them that your money is just as good as another team's money? Well, by trying to have an assistant general manager like a Steph Curry or a Trae Young for Davidson or Oklahoma could possibly do that, or in the case for KU or K-State, whatever it might be. Very, very interesting topic, and I think something that we're going to have to continue to take a look at. And say a big day coming up here on Monday, April the 7th. That's when the NCAA versus the House or something along some big court case going to come through and probably going to approve the $20.5 million every year that's going to pay athletes out of the budgets of athletic departments on top of the NIL that they can get. And so that's going to really change the landscape again of college sports. And so teams are trying to think outside the box on how to put themselves in the best position to have success and use that money to help them have success, I should say. So fascinating conversation. Assistant general managers in college athletics, guys like Steph Curry and Trae Young, Davidson, Oklahoma, respectively. Who could do it for KU and K-State? Doesn't matter if it's football or basketball. Thank you so much for the texters for chiming in there in segment number 1. All right, it's 8:33 Central, 7:33 Mountain Time here on this Friday, April the 4th. Glad you're with us. Once again, a very, very light mist today. Going to be a cloudy, gloomy day today. Not a lot of sunshine for the next couple of days. Could see some wind before we start warming back up on Sunday and into Monday. We'll take a quick time out when we come back. Our friend from Kansas Pregame Magazine, John Betts, will join us next to talk plenty of high school topics and news. That's next on the Morning Blitz.
The Cheyenne County Hospital would like to welcome Dr. Saba Shinzada, a board-certified doctor of osteopathy. His area of interest includes obstetrical medicine with incorporation of osteopathic manipulative technique. With strong focus on family medicine, Dr. Shinzada is passionate about providing high-quality care to his patients. Dr. Shinzada is now accepting new patients as well as obstetric patients. To make an appointment, you can call today at 785-332-2682. That's 785-332-2682.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Friday, April 4th. On the overnights last night, made corn lower 4 3/4 at 452 3/4. July down 5.5 at 460. September down 4.5 at 434.5. December corn down 4 3/4 at 442 3/4. May soybeans down 23.5 on the overnight at 988. July down 22 1/4 at 1004. August down 23.5 at 1001. September down 25 cents at 986 3/4. Chicago wheat, the May contract lower 10 cents at 5.26. July down 9 3/4 at 5.40 1/4. September down 10 cents at 5.55 1/4. December down 9 3/4 at 5.79 1/4. Kansas City wheat, the May contract lower 8 3/4 at 5.60 1/4. July down 9 cents at 5.71 3/4. September down 8 at 5.86 3/4. December down 7.5 at 6.09 1/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down $1,017 at 39,752. The S&P down $131 at 5,301. The Nasdaq down 480 at 18,195. Gold lower $26 an ounce at 3,095, and crude oil down $4.90 a barrel at 61.99. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Solido, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game. Outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. We didn't follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Farmer Amaranth. 4 counts of yield theft, resistance to groups 2, 4, 9.
You ain't got nothing on me, man.
We've been
Good morning.
Morning, John. We're coming to you here in about 30 seconds, okay?
Sounds good.
Perfect.
It's our service when and where you need it most. Plus, you'll receive a $100 Visa gift card on all new lines. Visit a location near you today. Next Tech Wireless, connecting Kansans.
From the locker room to your morning commute, it's all sports, all the time.
It's all they talk about.
This is the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
No doubt a fun conversation. People chiming in still through the break on some interesting names for assistant GM. Thank you, Alan. That was a good one. I got a good chuckle out of that one. So there was a good one he sent in for Goodland people. That was funny. Don't forget today, there is a radio remote at the Cowboy Corner Express here in Goodland. That'll be taking place from 11 to 2 Mountain Time. Ann's going to be out there with Joel. Buy a $10 lotto ticket and receive something off of the lottery prize table during the live remote. So go check that 11 to 2 Mountain Time there at the Cowboy Corner Express. And, of course, don't forget about the Kiss Dance. It's going to be happening this Sunday from 11:30 to 4. And also the NWKS radio auction is getting set to get going here. That's going to be on April 18th. Once again, text the word auction to 785-460-0790 to get a list of the sale bill and stuff, and also get a link to our website to see the items that are going to be on the auction. We're adding to that almost every single day. All right, we're patiently waiting on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Is our good friend from Kansas Pregame Magazine. That would be John Betts. John, good morning. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I enjoyed listening to the whole GM conversation, and I have a thought about something that the programs have to consider is, relevance. And you said relevance to kids right now. And this is, I think, one of the ways that athletes across generations stay relevant is through social media. And Paul Pierce kind of has an interesting story in that regard, because a couple years ago, he did an IG live of kind of some, I'll call them questionable activities for lack of a better description. And while that, the programs have to decide who they're going to bring back into the fray with some of their activities after basketball and after football and those kind of things. But that IG live of Paul Pierce has probably made him more relevant to the younger generation that may not have been as familiar with his game. So their social media savvy or lack thereof will also probably be a consideration for who gets brought in to do the GM fold.
John, were there any names that weren't mentioned that stood out to you that you think that would be an interesting position to be in those spots?
Well, I was thinking in terms of relevance, and and when you kept saying, will kids recognize that name? Terrence Newman for K-State, is his career now too far past that kids know who he is? John Riggins, I think, is because of his quirky personality and some of his kind of unique stories during his time playing that are available out there online. Also his crazy hairstyle from the big fro early on in his career and changing out. I think some of that stuff, kids are it's so easy for them to be able to find that. It would be intriguing to see bringing a guy like John Riggins in. Do kids go out and find all this stuff about him, and then they're drawn to him because he has this unique personality? And of course, the guy's got to have money, right? I mean, that's probably the number one consideration, is whether or not they can throw $1 million into the NIL space or not. I think Marquise Noel would be great for K-State, but I don't know what his financial situation is yet in terms of that. So yeah, it's a great discussion and a great topic, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes over the next few years.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff come up, whether it's good or bad. I don't know, but we're definitely going to see a lot of it. John Betts, our friend from Kansas Pregame Magazine, joining us here. John, talk to me a little bit about your thoughts as the basketball season came to a close at the high school level a few weeks ago.
It was exciting. I think about first of all, the Twin Valley League is incredible. What they were able to do with putting 9 teams into the state tournament or something along those lines, and to maybe score some wins that the general population saw as upsets, but everybody that knows the teams that play in the Twin Valley League, the things that they can do. From your part of the world, it was, fun to watch the Goodland boys have that continued success after so long, kind of having a streak of a lack of success, certainly as far as the state tournament goes. But it was exciting state tournaments. Interesting to see teams like Mound Ridge have both their boys and girls be so successful. Heston have both their boys and girls be so successful. That's really it's always intriguing to me how communities are basketball communities or football communities, or not so much spring sports communities, because there's maybe not as much participation in baseball and softball on a statewide level. But just another exciting basketball run. And then, of course, wrestling, always love the environment surrounding the state wrestling tournaments. Wrestling is, I have always described it as the most family sport of all the sports, because it is like these rabid, probably a little bit smaller fan base that travels everywhere to follow these kids. And then they also develop these relationships with neighboring communities and rivals. I mean, I feel like in some other sports, there can be kind of a seeding, kind of a hatred almost in some of those rivalry situations. But in wrestling, there seems to be, a very much get up, hey, I lost, but great match. I really appreciate what you did. A kind of respect that goes along with wrestling that I think is a little bit unique in the athletics environment. And so I enjoy watching those seasons come to a head in the state tournament and seeing those kind of feel good stories, and then kids show respect and communities show respect for each other for their success.
John Betts, Kansas Pregame Magazine. You said you had some thoughts on the shot clock. I was curious to get your thoughts on that.
Sure. I maybe have a little bit of a unique perspective. It's kind of an old guy perspective, I think. But I will say, I want the communities, I want the schools that want the shot clock to have the shot clock. But I want the communities that don't want the shot clock to not have the shot clock. And generally that's separated by large classifications versus small classifications. And I see the discussion on social media, and the large classifications they cannot understand why the small schools don't want to have the shot clock. And there's 2 primary reasons for that. One is resources, the investment that's required to have the shot clock, the personnel that's required to have the shot clock. In communities where you're already strained to make sure that you have enough volunteers in any given season in any given game to handle the scorebook, to handle the clock. We're continuing to see less and less officials available. And I think if those small communities say, hey, we just don't have the capability to add this, then they shouldn't have it shoved down their throat. And then the second part of it is I see stall ball as a tool that a team that only has 8, 9, 10 players out, period. And of course, some of our 1A schools may only have 6 or 7 players. Slowing down the game is a tool for them to not get ran out of the gym. And I understand the shot clock. I understand the value of possessions and of scoring and those things like that. But I also understand the coaching perspective that says, hey, I don't have enough kids in this small community, and I can't run them to death over a course of a game and stay competitive. But I actually just spoke to Jeremy Holiday with Keisha, and he said that they are going to get the surveys from coaches on their experiences with the shot clock and have it for their April meeting, April 23rd and 24th. And he says they would anticipate a decision made at that time for the future of the shot clock in Kansas. And he also says that he anticipates sharing kind of the results of the surveys from the schools. And I would guess it'll be like a percentage for, percentage against, and maybe some breakdowns of some of the experiences that they had. So it'll be interesting to see. Where that goes. I'm curious. I'm sure you've talked about it before, but what was your experience calling games with the shot clock?
Well, it's a very hot button issue out here because there's a lot of people who love the shot clock out here and think that it's a sad deal that you play with the shot clock all season, then you go to state tournament, you don't play with it. That's the biggest thing. Now, once again, it was on the schools out here's decision, the league's decision to do that. It was not forced upon them. I think that's just the biggest. In my opinion, I think that the shot clock was great. I had no problem with it. It certainly kept games moving. I had no issue with that. You definitely saw the difference when you went from all season long with the shot clock to the postseason. You saw the difference with teams holding onto the ball and all that. You saw that so much, particularly with Goodland boys against some of the weaker opponents. You saw that. And once again, I'm not against those teams that played that way. It's within the rules. So it's just like the torpedo bats. It's within the rules. So it's okay. But I think it needs to be uniform throughout the season, whether we do it all throughout the season, no shot clock, or all throughout the season with a shot clock. And I think personally putting a shot clock at state should be something that should be coming up, because those are usually your best teams. You're not like you're going to have a team that's not very good at state. So your best teams are going to be able to be out there and play with a shot clock. I think that should be the way that it should be going forward. We'll see though.
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what the executive board's conversation is like. And yeah, I get both sides of the argument. And if it's something that needs to be installed uniformly, then those smaller schools will just have to learn how to adapt it, and that's the way it goes. That's the rule of the game. That's the game of basketball the way that it has been for a long time. I'm sure when I say I hate to see it in the small schools, I'm sure that there's some adamant fans out there that are saying, I suppose you want to eliminate the 3-point line and take back the slam dunk as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that conversation goes here in just a couple of weeks.
We certainly will. Before we let you go, John, I only got a little bit more time here. Give us your thoughts on how the spring edition for Kansas Pregame Magazine came together.
Well, I don't know if you've had a chance to pick up a hard copy yet, but it's really cool because we have something called a signal gatefold on it. And so when you open up the front cover, it then actually flips out into like a wide poster size image. And we did a feature on the tradition of success amongst the Beloit track throwers, who have had numerous state champions in both boys and girls shot, disc, and javelin over the years. And so it was a really fun, kind of a unique thing that we did. And yeah, we've got it out all across the state. If you go to kansaspregame.com and click on Get a Copy, you can see where free locations are. Of course, in your part of the world, American Implement and Nix Tech Wireless and Pizza Hut are some of those consistent ones that we've always had, as well as a number of those local businesses. And it's fun to watch the baseball and softball season progressing. And of course, you got a lot of good track athletes right there in your part of the world. Jackson Rumford from Scott City was a kid that was on our spring cover this year, and Coulter Oldham from Lakin, who is one of the best throwers in the state. And of course, Lincoln Cure, you know, the absolute freakish monster that he is, gliding over the hurdles at 6'6", 235 pounds or whatever it may be, is a fun one to watch. And it'll be interesting to follow the track season all the way into the state championships this year.
Yeah, a lot of these great athletes are going to go do track at the next level. You know, Guy Tubbs and Jackson Ruff are both going to go throw the javelin at Hayes. I think Coulter Oldham, I think he's going to Penn. I think is what I saw. He's going to Penn to throw, to do throwing over there. So,
That's right, the Ivy League.
The Ivy League. So, yeah, a lot of these great athletes are going to go into track and continue their athletic careers. John Betts of Kansas Pregame Magazine. John, thank you so much for the conversation. Really do appreciate it. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, thanks. It was great to talk.
Once again, great stuff there from John Betts, Kansas Pregame Magazine. Get out, pick up your edition, or you can also check it out online as well. But go get the hard copy. He works hard. Go out and pick up that hard copy for sure. Once again, that was John Betts, Kansas Pregame Magazine, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. All right, we'll take our final break, come back, and wrap the show with some thoughts on the weekend slate ahead. This is the Morning Blitz.
Earl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas is hiring now, looking for technicians of all levels and a service advisor to join their team. Enjoy competitive wages, consistent work, plus 401k and health benefits, all in a great work environment. If you're ready for a rewarding career with a trusted dealership, apply today. Visit them in person on South Commerce Road in Goodland, or apply on Facebook. Join the Hurl Chevrolet GMC family today.
Spring is here, and Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware has everything you need for the season. Get your lawn looking its best with Ultimate Fertilizer and power up with Ego blowers and mowers. Got a project? They got a surplus of lumber ready to go. Plus, fire up the fun with their selection of grills and griddles. Hoover's is also proud to sponsor the Pioneer 5K, 10K, half and full marathon supporting Colby Community College cross country on April 26th, and remind you to sign up and participate. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Bringing you the best regional sports talk.
Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
From scores to stories, the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
All right, wrapping up a Friday show, wrapping up a week here on this April the 4th. Once again, thank you for tuning in, no matter which way you're doing so. The radio, or of course the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, or the audio stream, we do not care. We just appreciate you being on. Yesterday, in the weekend slate, getting to that. Yesterday, Rockies lose to the Phillies 3-1. They are swept. Rockies are 1-5 on the season. Lose 3-1 to the Phillies. Offense, once again, just really not able to get the big hits with guys. They had 8 hits, but just could not drive in anybody. Left 9 guys on base. Just cannot get anything going offensively, can the Rockies. They had a little something cooking in the 9th. Had the bases loaded, but Jose Alvarado able to get a strikeout and in that threat and in the game as the Phillies take all 3 from the Rockies. It's opening day at Coors Field for the Colorado Rockies here this afternoon. They're going to play, I believe it's at 2:10 Mountain Time. I believe that is the first pitch. 2:10 Mountain Time. You can listen on AM 730 KLE. Ryan Feltner on the mound as the Rockies host the A's, the Sacramento A's, or just really the Athletics. There at Coors Field for opening day at there in Lodo. Let's see here. Royals, an off day yesterday. They are back at home tonight at the K, taking on Baltimore. Both teams have losing records. Kansas City 2-4, Baltimore 3-4. Seth Lugo on the bump for KC. First pitch 6:40 Central Time. on AM 790 KXXX. Also, this weekend it is Final Four basketball. The women's Final Four will take place tonight. You have Texas, South Carolina in one semi, followed by UConn and UCLA in another. And so those two, I feel like I know Texas has beaten South Carolina already this year. I don't know. I feel like South Carolina is going to probably get them when it matters the most. That's just my gut feeling on that. The UConn UCLA game, though, that one is going to be entertaining. UCLA, if you have not watched them, they are massive. They've got this girl, I think she's 6'7". She's huge, absolutely tall, and can run pretty darn well. She's pretty athletic for that too. But UCLA has got a lot of size. Their coach is the Naismith Coach of the Year. UCLA's had a phenomenal season. They're very, very talented. But, of course, UConn is too, and they probably have the best player left in the tournament right now, and that's Paige Beckers. With some other great pieces around her too. UConn's got tons of talent. So the overall great skill and talent of UConn against UCLA, who's had just an unbelievable year and all that great size that they have, should be a fascinating matchup between those two teams. That'll be those games, and the national title game, which is on Sunday, can be seen all on ESPN or ABC. The championship game will be on ABC on Sunday afternoon. The Final Four is Saturday. That's where you'll see Florida Auburn and Duke Houston in the men's Final Four. Florida Auburn, I think I would roll with Florida. They just got so much depth in size and the shooting ability. And Auburn, even though they've made it this far, give them a lot of credit. They have not played their best basketball. Maybe they turned the corner here. I just feel like Florida's got too much. I think they're playing in the national championship game on Monday night. Duke Houston, to me, is an unbelievable game. A lot of people would say that this is the national championship game. I don't know about that. But you have Duke and their unbelievable depth and their unbelievable skill, even though they are still a majority of freshmen. But as Riley Gates has said before, and I would agree, you kind of get to a certain point in the season, you're no longer a freshman. But a ton of talent there at Duke. They're one of the best teams offensively and defensively in the country, according to Ken Palm. Super, super talented. But then you've got this Houston team that is unbelievably good defensive and rebounding. They are the best. They are the elite when it comes to defense and rebounding for Houston. That is and their physicality is going to really challenge Duke. It's going to challenge them. And so I'm interested if Duke can match that. And on top of that, Houston has become a much better offensive team this year. And so because I think they could pull they could pull this. I don't know if you want to call it an upset. They could beat Duke, but I think that to me is the great. That is a great game. I can't wait to watch that. And of course, that'll all be on CBS. And for my Nebraska basketball fans, before the Final Four on Saturday, you can watch the Nebraska men in their Final Four taking on Boise State in the Crown basketball, in the college basketball crown, if you'd like to partake in that. All right, on to the walk-off.
High drive, deep left, grand slam! And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Gray? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Once again, not a lot of local sports going on today and really this weekend due to the rain, which is fantastic. I'm not complaining about that. Certainly going to take the rain. I think a lot of people would. But yeah, not a lot of local sports happening today. Anything was scheduled for today or for tomorrow has pretty much been postponed. And then we'll try to pick up a little bit on Sunday and then push it into Monday. So once again, a lot of local sports not happening today due to the weather. Tell you what, there's been some interesting storylines in Major League Baseball this season got going. We talked yesterday about the NL West and the Padres and the Dodgers off to 15-0 starts, just unbelievable combined, just absolutely nuts. How about the Reds? They've lost 3 in a row here as of late, and all by 1-0 losses. That has never been done in MLB baseball history. In the long history of baseball, it's never been done. 3 consecutive losses by a score of 1-0. The Reds now hold that record. Whew. Oh, my. Oh, my. Don't forget, of course, today over at the Cowboy Corner Express, Ann and Joel will be over there from 11 to 2 Mountain Time with the radio remote. Go check it out and be a possible winner from the Kansas Lottery. Thanks to all the listeners out there today as well. So great to have the texters chime in with their thoughts on assistant general manager positions for KU and K-State. That was a lot of fun, and I appreciate the input. Everyone have yourself a great weekend. It's not going to be the most beautiful weather weekend, but hey, enjoy the moisture. I know I will. Have a great rest of your Friday. We'll talk to you on Monday here on the Morning Blitz. Be good.
Rocket 102.5 KKCI.